In my past life, because of my sister's schemes, I lost my innocence to a foul and filthy homeless man. Yet within just 3 short months, the vagabond transformed into a long-lost heir of a wealthy family. I consequently enjoyed boundless riches and luxuries, becoming the envy of all as a noble madam. After being reborn, my sister threw herself into the homeless man's arms, insisting on marrying him despite our parents' objections. Heaven has eyes, this overwhelming fortune has finally come to me. But she didn't know. The homeless man could return home and reclaim his roots, all thanks to my help. And her man? Nothing but a cowardly good-for-nothing, all bark and no bite. I opened my eyes, the unbearable heat coursing through my body making me writhe in discomfort. As I took in the dim, damp surroundings of the underground parking garage and the filthy, disheveled homeless man not far away, it finally dawned on me, I had been reborn. And not just reborn, but on the very day of my entanglement with Liam. This day, one could say, marked the beginning of all my nightmares in my past life. Before I could even gather my thoughts, he approached, pushing my weak and limp body to the ground. His foul-smelling mouth drew near, aiming for my neck. Instinctively, I tried to dodge, but my body refused to obey, leaving me powerless as he tore at my clothes. I watched helplessly as Liam's grimy hands reached beneath my skirt. With a sharp creak, the garage door was pulled open from the outside. A petite, fragile figure yanked me away and threw herself into the homeless man's arms. "Claire, he's mine. His future wife is me, don't even think about taking him from me." In that instant, I understood. Jessica had also been reborn. In my previous life, Jessica had been infatuated with the top student in our class. But he had shown no interest in her, not even sparing her a kind glance. Because of my outstanding academic performance, especially my top-ranking math scores, the class genius often discussed various challenging math problems with me during breaks. Our cheerful conversations during free time provoked Jessica. In a fit of anger, she drugged me and then kidnapped me to an abandoned garage, intending for me to be violated by homeless men. Under her strong persuasion, my biased parents married me off to a homeless man and immediately kicked me out. Little did they know that 3 months later, Liam was recognized by his family, and I became a wealthy wife. The whole family then eagerly crowded around me, while Jessica was so jealous she could have torn me apart. Bringing my thoughts back to the present, I watched Jessica eagerly cozying up to Liam and secretly sneered. Didn't she want to be a wealthy wife? In this lifetime I'll grant her wish. I'm curious to see how Liam, a mere illegitimate child, manages to return home and inherit the family fortune without my help. I watched the two passionately entangled figures before me and thoughtfully closed the garage door for them. As soon as I got home, my parents took one look at my disheveled appearance and immediately frowned. "Claire, what nonsense have you been up to outside again? Can't you learn from your sister instead of constantly embarrassing us in public?" Since childhood, my parents have always favored my sister. All the good things went to her first, while I only got her hand-me-downs. My mother would glare at me viciously, saying she nearly died in childbirth because of me, cursing me as a debt collector born to torment her. But causing her difficult labor was never something I wished for. In my past life, I only learned the truth much later. My sister never wanted me to be born, fearing I would steal our parents' affection. At just 5 years old, she somehow heard about a method and persistently convinced our father to feed mother excessive amounts of tonics and meat. This caused me to grow abnormally large in the womb, nearly killing mother during the difficult delivery. Having lived through 2 lifetimes, I had long seen through the true colors of this entire family. Now, seeing the obvious disdain in my parents' eyes, I felt completely unruffled. I sneered inwardly. Just wait, this time it'll be their precious eldest daughter who brings shame upon them. I couldn't help but look forward to the moment when Mom and Dad see Jessica dragging Liam back home. What kind of reaction will they have then? Ignoring their curses, I went straight upstairs to take a shower. Just as I came back down in fresh clothes, I saw my sister pulling Liam along, tearfully begging our parents to approve their marriage. At the sight of me, Jessica's eyes grew even more frantic. "Mom, Dad, if you won't let me marry Liam, I'll kill myself right here." With that, she pretended to lunge toward the sharp corner of a nearby cabinet. Mom quickly pulled Jessica into her arms, calling her my darling over and over. Mom, Dad, what's wrong with sister? The moment I finished speaking, Dad raised his hand and slapped me hard across the face. You wretched thing. Was it you who ruined your sister's purity, making her mix with some vagrant? How will people look at our family now? How will they see Jessica? I knew you were a curse from the moment you were born. I should have strangled you back then. That slap carried nearly all of Dad's strength. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and stared coldly at him. It was Jessica who schemed against me first, Jessica who insisted on marrying Liam. Yet in the end, it was still my fault. My mother also looked at me with disdain. Claire, go explain to the people outside that you got drunk and fooled around with a homeless man. To prevent Jessica from being tainted, we've decided to marry you off to this man. From now on, you have no connection to us whatsoever. In this lifetime, even though I wasn't ruined by Liam, they still chose to sacrifice me by marrying me off to Liam to protect Jessica. At this moment, I was completely disillusioned with my parents. In the past, I cowered and didn't dare resist, afraid of displeasing them. I tried my best to please them, desperately hoping for a shred of warmth and attention. But all I got in return was their increasingly contemptuous looks and their assumption that I should naturally sacrifice everything for Jessica. I straightened my back and coldly surveyed everyone around me. From now on, I would no longer exhaust myself trying to please them. I let out a cold laugh. Fine, since you've all said so, I'll marry him. I knew Jessica would never agree to me marrying Liam now. Jessica was originally gloating over me being beaten and scolded. But the moment she heard me agree to marry Liam, she couldn't sit still anymore. Mom, Dad, you can't let this bitch marry Liam. Why? Mom and Dad looked at Jessica almost incredulously, completely unable to believe their ears. Afraid that our parents might oppose again, Jessica quickly pulled them aside and whispered something. I didn't need to hear to know. Jessica must have revealed that Liam was the long-lost son of a wealthy family. In just moments, our parents who had been utterly disdainful of Liam changed their tune, immediately trying to ingratiate themselves by reaching for Liam's hand. But they were all repulsed by the pungent sour stench emanating from him, retching uncontrollably. After a long pause, they finally pinched their noses and spoke with great reluctance. Since our Jessica likes you, you'd better not be ungrateful. From now on, you must treat Jessica and only Jessica well. Liam nodded without saying a word. But only I noticed the icy glint gradually forming in his eyes, hidden beneath his long hair. In my past life, having been married to Liam for several years, I naturally knew his temperament. His meekness was only for outsiders. As his wife, I endured endless humiliation and abuse. It wasn't until I could bear it no longer and raised a kitchen knife, slashing fiercely at his hand, that he finally saw my ferocity and dared not provoke me again. In this life, since they all want to use Liam to climb into wealth, why would I, as a good sister, stand in their way? I turned away with a cold smile. Sister, your body has always been frail, you'll have to endure it from now on. Seeing that I was about to leave, Father sharply rebuked me. Claire, did we say you could go? Starting today, you'll give your room to Liam. Now that my parents knew Liam's background, and since they'd already agreed to let Jessica marry him, they absolutely wouldn't let him wander outside and bring shame to the family. Watching Father's hand about to strike, I tightly grabbed his wrist. Since childhood, I'd been doing all the household chores for the whole family, so naturally I wasn't weak. David, let me tell you, I'm leaving whether you like it or not. Give the room to whoever you want. From today onward, I have nothing more to do with this family. After all these years, you've only ever treated Jessica as your real daughter. David felt as though his wrist was nearly crushed by my grip, and when he met my icy gaze, an unfamiliar sense of dread inexplicably washed over him. I shook off David's hand and went upstairs to pack my belongings. There wasn't much, just a small suitcase holding 3 sets of clothes and $3,000. That $3,000 was money I'd secretly saved up without their knowledge. Seeing that I was leaving, Jessica grabbed my hand and launched into her usual melodramatic act. "Claire, darling, Mom and Dad love you too. Don't run away in a fit of anger, okay?" I pulled my hand free from Jessica's grasp and wiped the spot she'd touched with a handkerchief, disgusted. "So filthy." Hearing my words, Jessica flushed crimson with humiliation and fury. "Claire, how could you speak about your sister like that?" I turned a cold gaze toward my mother, the same biological mother who had treated me like an enemy all these years. "Miss Linda, you seem to have forgotten that I no longer have any ties to this family, and Jessica is not my sister." With that, I ignored the angry shouts behind me and quickly walked away from this suffocating home. I arrived at the lottery shop and, relying on my photographic memory, successfully purchased the exact same numbers that had won the jackpot in my past life. As I scratched off all the digits and watched the instant deposit of 70 million into my account, an overwhelming sense of satisfaction washed over me. Sean cornered me in the alley, his eyes blazing with fury. "Claire, did you bully Jessica again? There's no other reason she'd be so angry that she ignored me today." Of course I knew Sean, that foolish man who couldn't win Jessica's love. In my past life, when Jessica plotted against me, Sean had played no small part in it. Meeting Sean's gaze, I spoke calmly. "Sean, let me tell you something, my sister is going to marry that vagrant." Sean had been instrumental in the schemes against me, and he certainly knew exactly who I was referring to. "You're lying. It's you who's supposed to marry the vagrant." The moment the words left his mouth, Sean realized he'd slipped up, and a flicker of embarrassment crossed his face. Pretending not to catch his implication, I replied indifferently, "Believe it or not, look at me now, kicked out of the house, just to make way for that vagrant." Seeing that I was indeed carrying luggage at that moment, Sean believed my words somewhat. Yet there was still trust for Jessica in his eyes. I clicked my tongue inwardly. This Sean was truly a loyal dog by Jessica's side. But even dogs have dignity. If Sean were to find out Jessica had willingly married Liam, what an entertaining scene that would make. I continued, "If you don't believe me, you're welcome to visit my home. But if you're too late, Jessica will truly become someone else's bride." Watching Sean hurry away in a fluster, I curled my lips into a smile and cheerfully flicked non-existent dust off my clothes. I found lodging in an old residential district. Early the next morning, I arrived at school bright and early. The moment I returned to my seat, I saw the entire class in an uproar. "Claire, did you hear? Jessica's making a scene today about dropping out to go home and get married." My best friend Tina patted me on the shoulder, her eyes filled with disgust for Jessica. She had always hated seeing Jessica bully me, and with her watching my back at school, I felt much happier. Only then did I notice Sean looking utterly dejected in the corner of the classroom. It seemed Jessica, in her desperate attempt to cling to Liam's coattails, hadn't hesitated to verbally attack Sean. "Everyone quiet down," our homeroom teacher said, slapping the desk forcefully, with red-eyed Jessica trailing behind her. "Today Jessica announced she wants to drop out to get married. I absolutely cannot agree to this, students. Although you're all adults now, this is the most crucial year of senior high. I don't want anyone ruining their bright future over impulsive decisions. In my previous life, forced by my parents and Jessica, I had no choice but to drop out of school. For the following 3 months, I followed Liam, living a life of begging and sleeping in freezing cold bridge tunnels. During that time, my homeroom teacher did come looking for me. But due to my parents' strong opposition and Jessica's continuous slander, the school ultimately refused to let me return. Liam, who knew I wanted to escape, even resorted to beating me. Now, seeing my homeroom teacher's heartbroken expression, I couldn't help but tear up. At this moment, my homeroom teacher sighed helplessly upon seeing me. "Claire, you're Jessica's own sister. You should try to talk some sense into her." Before I could speak, Jessica frantically shook off the homeroom teacher's hand. "I'm dropping out, and when I become a wealthy socialite's wife, you'll all envy me. You bunch of country bumpkins wouldn't understand me anyway." As soon as she finished speaking, Mom and Dad rushed over in a panic. They hugged Jessica protectively, not even sparing me a glance. "Teacher, if Jessica doesn't like studying, there's no need to force her to continue," they said. Seeing the stubborn determination in my parents' and Jessica's eyes, the homeroom teacher could say no more. With a sigh, she left the classroom. "Hey Claire, is Jessica out of her mind? Dropping out to marry some homeless guy?" At Tina's words, all the classmates eagerly gathered around to gossip. "No, with Jessica's arrogant attitude just now, I thought she was about to marry some wealthy tycoon. Turns out she's marrying a beggar instead." At that moment, someone poked Sean. "Is this for real? Your goddess is actually rejecting you to drop out of school and marry a beggar?" Sean was already in a bad mood, and now it felt like someone had twisted a knife in his heart. He raised his fist, ready to swing at the classmate. I looked at Sean and spoke up. "Sean, I know you've always liked my sister. I believe she's just temporarily blinded by that beggar. Don't worry, I'll help you win her back." Hearing my words, Sean indeed quieted down. I knew that Sean, this foolish man, though temperamental, wasn't excessively so. He wouldn't completely give up on Jessica just because of one insult from her. The school bell rang, and Sean stopped me. "Tell me, what exactly do you want me to do?" I beckoned Sean closer and whispered a few words in his ear. "As long as you help me with this, I believe my sister will surely change her mind." Seeing the determination in Sean's eyes, I knew he had already agreed with my idea. "Claire, don't lie to me." "Of course." Watching Sean's retreating figure, I turned and slipped into another alley. In my past life, it was by sheer coincidence that I encountered Ethan lying unconscious. Ethan was the family's only son, naturally the heir to their future fortune. I had never crossed paths with him before. But with my exceptional memory, I instantly recognized that face, the one that had once graced the cover of Financial Weekly. To escape my life of hardship, I dragged the severely injured Ethan into a secluded corner, causing him to miss his critical treatment window and pass from this world. Then I found a way to spread the news that Liam was the bloodline of the wealthy family. As the only remaining heir, even if the family had disliked this illegitimate child, he had no choice but to take Liam back. Naturally, Liam became the successor, transforming from a destitute vagrant into the young master of the conglomerate. In this life, I was determined to find a way to save Ethan. Following the memories in my mind, I finally found Ethan lying in a corner, covered in blood. Though Ethan bore a slight resemblance to Liam, their auras were entirely different. Ethan had grown up as the beloved and pampered golden child, yet he was righteous to the core. Liam, on the other hand, had spent his childhood wandering the streets, enduring endless mockery and scorn, his heart long twisted beyond recognition. As I looked at the unconscious Ethan, I couldn't help but feel deep remorse for my selfishness in the past life. I hoped that in this life, I could atone for my sins. I took Ethan to the hospital, and with timely treatment, he was now out of danger. Before he woke up, I left the hospital. Just then, my phone dinged with a notification. It was a message from Sean. Earlier, Sean had specifically kept my contact information to pursue Jessica. "Everything is taken care of." Seeing Sean's message, I couldn't help but curl my lips into a smile. Opening the trending posts, sure enough, news about the wealthy family's long-lost illegitimate son was everywhere. I couldn't help but sigh. Sean was really willing to go all out to win Jessica back. In my past life, the wealthy family spared no expense to save Ethan, pouring resources into his treatment for 3 whole months, yet still couldn't turn the tide. It was only after Ethan's death that Liam's status as the family's bloodline was revealed. Now that Ethan is alive, Liam will never gain the family's recognition in this lifetime. Sure enough, when Jessica saw the trending topic on Weibo, she hurriedly shared the good news with her parents. "Mom, Dad, I told you Liam wasn't just anyone." Watching my parents' and Jessica's excited expressions on the video surveillance, I couldn't help but curl my lips. Smile all you want, the real show is yet to come. The next morning, as soon as I woke up, I checked my phone and, sure enough, found even more amusing trending topics. Jessica, unable to restrain herself, had dragged Liam to claim kinship, only to be met with the wealthy man instead. The outcome was predictable. Jessica and Liam were thrown out by the tycoon, who declared Ethan as his only son. Scrolling through the comments, netizens furiously condemned Jessica and Liam for their shameless attempt to infiltrate the wealthy family. At that moment, I logged into an anonymous account and casually dropped the bombshell that Liam had once been a homeless man. The moment the post went up, the comment section exploded. A classmate chimed in using my comment. "I know that girl, she's Jessica from our class. She dropped out recently because she was marrying some beggar." Exactly. Marrying a beggar yet still dreaming of becoming a wealthy socialite. I was scrolling through the comments, grinning ear to ear, when my phone rang. "Claire, did you have something to do with that trending topic? You'd better get your ass home right now, or consider yourself disowned. Mr. David, seems you've forgotten, I have no ties to your family anymore." Without waiting for David's continued insults, I turned off my phone and happily enjoyed my lunch. Not long after, I heard heavy knocking at the door. Through the peephole, I saw Jessica's furious face, with Liam standing beside her. Liam had gotten a haircut and changed his outfit, now he actually looked somewhat presentable. I spoke calmly, "If you continue to harass me, I'll have security throw you both out." Jessica panicked and quickly softened her tone. "Claire, I know there were misunderstandings between us before, which is why you're taking it out on Liam now. But Claire, you have to understand, if Liam rightfully returns home, and I become a wealthy wife in the future, I'll naturally look out for you too." I secretly sneered. Even now, Jessica was still lost in her delusional dream of marrying into a wealthy family. Taking a closer look at the slap mark on Jessica's face, it was clear Liam had likely beaten and scolded her repeatedly over the paternity issue. Feigning ignorance, I scratched my ear, my tone dripping with naive innocence. "Sis, but I heard the tycoon only acknowledges Ethan as his son. Liam grew up wandering the streets, how could he possibly be connected to that family? Besides, the tycoon hasn't even acknowledged Liam. How can you be so sure he's the long-lost son? Sis, you do know spreading rumors is illegal, right?" At my words, Jessica paled. I knew it was because of what had happened in our past life that made her so certain Liam was the tycoon's child. But what she didn't realize was, unless the tycoon himself spoke up, Liam would never set foot in that family's door. The two of them left awkwardly. About a month later, Ethan publicly declared that he was the only child in the family, warning that anyone spreading baseless rumors would face legal consequences. Jessica finally realized that Liam was no longer a reliable option. "Liam, how dare you play me like this?" On the surveillance footage, Jessica was seen pointing at Liam's nose and screaming insults, completely forgetting the beatings he had inflicted on her just days before. Of course, Liam couldn't tolerate her verbal abuse and immediately kicked Jessica in the stomach, followed by a flurry of punches and kicks. Only when a pool of blood spread beneath Jessica did Liam finally let go. When David and Linda returned and saw the scene before them, they quickly called the police. Liam ended up in prison, with not the slightest chance left of ever entering a wealthy family again. I watched the surveillance footage with great satisfaction. With no one left to cause trouble, I enjoyed a rare week of peace. Just as I was happily munching on potato chips, a series of deliberate knocks sounded at the door. Peering through the peephole, I was shocked to see Ethan standing outside. The moment I opened the door, his bodyguards filed in one after another, each carrying suitcases. When the cases were opened, stacks of US dollars nearly blinded me. "Miss Claire, thank you for saving my life back then. Consider these $5 million as my token of gratitude." Hearing Ethan's words, I guiltily rubbed my nose. This is too much, really. It was just a small favor. Remembering how selfish I'd been in my past life, I wanted to slap myself. How could I possibly accept this mountain of cash? Just then, Jessica stormed over, screaming in my face. "So Claire, you've been sneaking around with men behind my back. You've completely disgraced our family." Jessica had just finished speaking when she turned to look at Ethan and froze instantly. With his naturally extraordinary bearing, Ethan's face had already been imprinted in countless people's memories when he issued that statement. Jessica immediately put on an affected voice, looking at Ethan with feigned shyness. Mr. Ethan, you wouldn't know this, but my sister here is naturally promiscuous. Just the other day, she was flirting with some beggar. How revolting. You really shouldn't associate with someone like that. Jessica truly thought Ethan was a fool. Because David and Linda had pinned everything on me, she believed she could walk away completely unscathed. Though the trending topic about her bringing Liam back to the Gu family to claim kinship had been taken down, the internet never forgets. Hearing Jessica's words, Ethan gave a humorless smile and said, "Is that so? But what I heard was that you were the one determined to marry a beggar." Before Jessica could respond, several bodyguards promptly threw her out. "Thank you, there's just too much going on at home." Ethan smiled in response before leaving with his entourage of bodyguards. In just an hour, David called again. Unlike before, his tone had softened this time. "Claire, we know we wronged you before. It was our blind favoritism toward Jessica that led her to make such a mistake. Can Dad apologize to you?" I wasn't in the mood for David's father-daughter charade. Just as I was about to hang up, he quickly added, "Claire, your mother fell seriously ill because of Jessica. You know she's always had heart problems. No matter what, she's still your birth mother. She suffered so much bringing you into this world. Couldn't you just visit her this once?" I curled my lips coldly and replied, "Don't worry, I'll go back." Having said that, I couldn't bear to listen to David's hypocritical words any longer and hung up the phone directly. Then I dialed a familiar number. "Auntie, are you free today?" After receiving my aunt's affirmative reply, I packed my things and prepared to go home. As soon as I entered the door, I saw my father enthusiastically greeting me. I subtly avoided his hand and then got straight to the point. "Where's Mom?" "Hee, of course I'm here." As Linda finished speaking, her figure appeared from behind the door, followed by a smug-looking Jessica. With a loud slam, the front door was forcefully shut. At this moment, David, Linda, and Jessica all revealed their true colors. "Little sister, I heard you've made it big now, actually managed to climb into Mr. Ethan's favor and even got a 5 million reward. Big sister is truly envious of your good fortune." I raised an eyebrow, watching the approaching group, and said leisurely, "Oh? And what do you want? For me to hand over those 5 million to you?" Then, I pulled out the card from my pocket and slammed it onto the ground with a snap. "Here, 5 million, it's yours." For a moment, the three people in front of me froze slightly, and David's grip on the kitchen knife loosened. They hadn't expected me to be so accommodating. But Jessica wasn't having it. "Claire, you need to recognize your place. The only one who can marry into a wealthy family is me. After all, we're sisters, there's not much difference in our looks. I'll just take your place and enjoy the good life as the bride of a rich family." Even now, Jessica was still lost in her delusions. Even if she had truly saved Ethan, did she really think that just because of a life-saving favor, a girl from an ordinary family could smoothly marry into a wealthy household? She was as naive as ever. I didn't speak, just stared fixedly at my parents before me. From the moment I could remember, they had never cared for me. If it weren't for my aunt's help when I was little, I probably wouldn't have had the chance to grow up. To this day, I haven't harbored too much resentment toward them, I just wanted to stay as far away from them as possible. They despised me, so from now on, I would live alone. But I never imagined that now, for Jessica's sake, they would go so far as to plot my murder. I pressed my lips together, waiting for them to make their final decision. David's hand holding the kitchen knife wavered hesitantly, while Linda clutched the hemp rope, seemingly debating whether to go through with it. "Mom, Dad, have you forgotten? It was because of my sister that Mom nearly lost her life back then. Now that she's rich, she's cast you aside. But I'm different, once I make it big, I'll naturally bring you along to enjoy a life of ease." Hearing Jessica's words, the two who had been hesitating seemed to have made a firm decision. "Claire, this is all because of your selfishness. You brought this upon yourself. Don't blame Mom and Dad for being cruel." Seeing their determination to kill me, I forced a bitter smile. "Mom, Dad, you forced me into this. Before the three could react, the front door was violently kicked open. Auntie stormed in with a group of bodyguards. Without hesitation, she slapped Dad hard across the face. "David, have you lost your mind? Claire is your own flesh and blood." Before long, the three people before us were sent to the police station by Auntie and sentenced for attempted murder. Auntie crouched down and gently hugged me. "Don't cry, Claire. From now on, you and I are family." I nodded, saying I had already severed all feelings for David and Linda, yet tears still fell uncontrollably. "Auntie." I threw myself into her arms, sobbing too hard to speak. "Silly child, from now on, Auntie will cherish you." I could clearly feel her hands trembling. She was afraid her embrace might be too strong and upset me. But her embrace was so warm, like a mother carefully nurturing her own child. After this incident, my aunt completed the procedures and successfully transferred me under her name. That day, as I went about my usual routine, Sean stopped me. "Claire, you schemed against me. What exactly did you do to Jessica that got her locked up in prison?" I looked coldly at the furious Sean before me, and all the grievances and resentment in my heart surged up at once. Why does everyone favor Jessica? Clearly, I'm the one who's suffered all the hardships since childhood. But whether it's Mom and Dad or all of you, you all choose to ignore every wrong she's done and habitually pin all the blame on me. And now you have the nerve to question me about why Jessica is in prison. Sean, I thought you were at least a man with some sense of right and wrong, but I never knew you could be so blind and foolish. You ask why she's in prison? Because she persuaded Mom and Dad to kill me so she could marry into a wealthy family and become a rich wife. Watching me advance step by step, Sean felt flustered for the first time. No, it's impossible. How could Jessica do something like this? I let out a cold snort. Right, I forced my own parents to hold a kitchen knife to my neck, just to make them try and steal the payment I earned. Hearing my words, Sean covered his head and shrank into the corner, not daring to say another word. Just then, my best friend Tina and a few of her girlfriends rushed over and slapped Sean hard across the face. "Only someone like you would take a fancy to trash like Jessica. If you want to be with her, go ahead, go to jail with her. Don't think you can bully Claire just because she has a gentle temper. Let me tell you, my family may not be as prominent as Ethan's, but we still hold some influence here. If you ever dare to mess with Claire again, I'll make sure my brother skins you alive." After speaking, Tina and her group of girlfriends spat at Sean, then pulled me away. "Claire, don't be sad. You're not unloved, you still have us." Tears blurred my vision as I felt the warmth in Tina's palm, a sisterly warmth I had longed for but never received from Jessica. I nodded. Unexpectedly, Tina suddenly said with a mischievous grin, "Ahem, well. I want you to be my sister-in-law. My brother likes you. What do you think?" The tears of gratitude froze on my face instantly. Now there was only one word in my mind: run. Oh. I just remembered, my aunt should be calling me home for dinner. At this moment, Auntie appeared here quite fittingly. "Claire, come home for dinner." I excitedly walked toward Auntie, hoping she wouldn't notice Tina and the others. Yet, as they say, what you fear most is bound to happen. Auntie spotted the group of girlfriends behind me and immediately burst into laughter. "Oh my, so many friends. Why don't you all come to Auntie's house to play?" Tina and the other girls cheerfully dragged me along toward the house. "Hee, Claire, I really hope you'll be my future sister-in-law. I mean it, my family is very wealthy." I tugged at the corner of my mouth. "So you've been pretending to be poor all along, huh? Well done, you've really outdone yourself." Tina chuckled twice, then added, "Seriously, my brother is super handsome, and my family is loaded. You definitely won't be treated badly. You just wait to marry into wealth. Selling out your brother like this, won't he kill you when he finds out?" "Don't worry, he's given his silent approval." From then on, Tina became even busier playing matchmaker for Leo and me, though her main task was convincing me. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I'd marry into wealth thanks to my best friend. A few years later, Tina wilted like a deflated balloon. What? You're having a second baby? She wailed. I arched an eyebrow. Uh-huh. So are you babysitting this one or not? Tina massaged her temples. Fine, I'll do it. Leo and I couldn't help but burst into laughter seeing Tina's utterly miserable expression. The second child was also a girl. Of course, I would never show favoritism between them. Though I didn't grow up in a happy family myself, I was determined to give my children a joyful childhood.